He's the lead singer of one of the best 80s bands of all time, in my personal opinion. Lead singer Robbie Gray from the great band Modern English. Robbie, how we doing tonight there in London?
Doing very well, my friend. Doing very well. It's raining as usual, but apart from that, everything's great.
That's always a good thing. And I knew, Robbie, you grew up over there in England. And what was the deciding moment in your life musically that you knew you wanted music to become a big part of your life?
It would definitely have to be called punk rock. Bands like the Sex Pistols and the Clash, they were just so fresh and new. We'd listened to music before then, like we were big Bowie fans and Roxy Music and lots of other stuff, but it was those bands, the punk thing, influenced us to pick up instruments and start playing.
How did you meet up with the other guys in the band? You guys were a different name. You guys came up with a couple different names for the band, and then you guys came up with Modern English. How did you meet up with those guys?
Well, originally we're all from the same town, Colchester in Essex in England, and we all, used to know each other around the town, and a couple of us went to school together, a couple of us, met in pubs and stuff like this, and originally we were called the Lepers, and we were, a punk band, and then we, got to learn our instruments a bit more and became better musicians, and started to actually write songs with verses and choruses and things like that, which we'd never really done before. And it was actually the drummer, Richard Brown, who thought of the name Modern English. We were throwing names around, and I think Marianne Faithfull had the album Broken English out at the time, and I think we kind of stole it from that, really.
You guys recorded your first single on your own record label, which was Limp Label in 1979. And how did you guys get signed to 4AD?
Well, we literally were in infancy, really, as musicians, but we had some great ideas. We knew how to use sound and effects quite well with our keyboards and guitars. So we went to a little recording studio when they still used tape, would you believe, back then. And we recorded like a little 6-8-track demo, and we sent it off to a lot of the kind of hip English labels at that time, like Stiff Records and all these little labels, and 4AD was the label that showed interest, so that's really how it happened.
The band's debut album, Mesh and Lace, had more of a Joy Division type of influence to it, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. That was when Modern English started, really. We were influenced by the punk thing, and that got us into music, but we found our feet and we found our direction through what happened after punk, post-punk, which was loads of bands, Echo and the Bunnymen, Wire, Joy Division, Teardrop Explodes, Magazine, you could go on forever. But Joy Division was definitely an influence, yeah, no doubt about it. And our first album, Mesh and Lace, had quite a darker feel to it. And also we're still learning our instruments, so again we're using a lot of texture on the sound, a lot of feedback and a lot of keyboard layers, a lot of sound, really. We always used a lot of sound, and we still do.
And it's so funny, Robbie. I was just listening to that album last night, and the tune that really grabbed me was Smile and Laughter.
Oh, Smiles and Laughter, that was a 4AD single. Yeah, that we're not actually playing that on the tour, but yeah, that's a good one. It's a good one.
But how was that song put together, Robbie?
Wow, how was that put together? Like everything else in early Modern English, we used to call them parts. Let's do this part, then go into that part, and then go to this part, because we didn't know really how to write verse, chorus, middle eight, chorus to the end. We were still learning how to songwrite, so I think that's got about 16 sections in it, that Smiles and Laughter. It's quite an upbeat song, but we're not, unfortunately, we've got so many songs now. There's not one that we're doing on this tour.
Right, no problem, but still a great one to put on the old turntable, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. There's quite a few of them.
And the opening track on the follow-up album, After the Snow, was a great number called Someone's Calling. And in your opinion, did you feel like that album kind of took the band into a whole different direction?
Well, absolutely. I have to say a lot of that was, due to the producer, Hugh Jones, who really showed us how to craft songs. He knew we were good. He picked up on us being a good band and that we could write great ideas, and we had a knowledge of what we were about. But he helped us to learn the craft of songwriting, and that really did take us to a different place. It's the first time I hadn't really shouted on a record. It's the first time I'd actually sort of relaxed and sung. And it's the first time we'd used acoustic guitars, for instance, really, as prominent instruments. I mean, there's violins on there, cellos. These are all areas we'd never really worked in before. And there's a lot of melody on that album that, you know, much more so than Mesh and Lace. And most of that, I have to say, was down to Hugh Jones, who helped us to relax, really, and not be so angst-ridden.
And I know off of that album, Robbie, came the wonderful tune "I Melt with You" that just solidified the band of modern English, especially here in America. But it was such a different tone and such a different type of song. How did you guys come up with "I Melt with You"?
Well, yeah, I melt with you. What can I tell you? You know, it pays all the bills. I love "I Melt with You." I mean, when we play it live and the crowds, you know, just really get into it, you can't not really enjoy that. I mean, the song came about, I mean, it's really difficult to explain. We were in a small rehearsal room and we were putting parts of, you know, songs together, mixing and matching, you know, sections of songs with other sections of songs. It was never this crafted pop song that it ended up to be. Again, that was a lot to do with Hugh Jones, who helped us to maneuver the song in a way that, you know, made sense. But it came about, really, the lyrics came about. I remember writing those words in possibly 10 minutes in my room in London at the time.
Wow.
And some things that are really good come about quickly. And fortunately for me and for modern English, that was one of those times.
And then after the success of After the Snow and I Melt With You, you guys moved over to New York City here in America and worked on the band's third album, Ricochet Days. Just like the previous album made it to the Hot 100 here in America, one of the last songs on side A of the original vinyl was a great tune called Hands Across the Sea. Tell me the background on that great tune.
Yeah, Hands Across the Sea we will be doing on the tour. And of course we'll be doing I Melt With You. I better put that in there. But yeah, with Hands Across the Sea is... Hands Across the Sea was basically the follow-up to I Melt With You. Ricochet Days was produced by Hugh Jones, who produced the After the Snow album, and of course I Melt With You. So Hands Across the Sea was the follow-up. It follows, you know, it's basically a bit of a deeper song than I Melt With You. There's a lot more texture to it. There's a lot more guitar parts, for instance. There's intros. There's another guitar part after the second chorus. There's a lead guitar part. There's much more to Hands Across the Sea than I Melt With You. But it was supposed to be the kind of follow-up to I Melt With You. But, you know, we will be doing it live on the tour, and it's always a good live number.
Your band's last album of the 80s was a great album, in my personal opinion. I still love the album Stop Start. And it still managed to do very well here over in the States. A wonderful tune on that album titled Ink and Paper. How was that song put together, Robbie?
That's the only song that was ever written for modern English. We didn't actually write that.
Okay.
That was written by a kind of partnership. You know, we felt like we were in the Monkees when somebody gave us a song and said, you know, have a listen to this. And I think they probably listened to I Melt With You and dissected it and rewritten it in a way, because it's got very much a flavour of I Melt With You about it. The words were written by them as well. So that's the only one time that's ever happened with modern English, that somebody wrote a song, wrote the words, and we actually recorded it.
Okay, and did you just kind of stumble across it through your label, or how did you come across the song?
Well, it was just sent to us by a songwriting team.
Oh, okay.
And we just thought, well, you know, it does sound like modern English. And obviously, I think these people listened to bands and then wrote what they thought the bands would like.
So I know you guys are back together. I know you guys split up towards the end of the 80s and did your own thing, but you guys are back together again and going to be playing an incredible show on Thursday night, July 12th, at the Coach House in San Juan Capistrano, just down the street from the studios here. And what are you guys working on these days as far as new material, Robbie?
Yeah, we've got, that's one thing that excites me. As much as I love playing I Melt With You for the millionth time, and it's great to see the audience enjoying it and knowing that it's a good song. For me, the more exciting thing is to be playing new songs. We'll only be playing a couple on this tour. There'll be a mixture of early singles, Mesh and Lace tracks, including Moving Light and 16 Days. And then we're going to be doing stuff from After the Snow, Someone's Calling, Tables Turning, and of course I Melt With You, Hands Across the Sea from Ricochet Days, and a few new songs. And it's the first songs that the original band have written, you know, for over 30 years. So it's going to be really exciting to play them.
Wonderful, Robbie. Well, I can't wait to see you guys on Thursday night, July 12th at the Coach House of San Juan Capistrano. Robbie Cray from the great band Modern English. Thank you, Robbie. I really appreciate it.
I really enjoyed it. Thanks very much.